So remember that link that we did with our major scales where we linked the first scale to the second scale to the fourth scale just to get you connecting these shapes? It looks like this. I'm in the key of G. A good practice is when you get up here, play the G major arpeggio going descending. Right? So you get this. So I'm playing the first major scale, the second, fourth, into my arpeggio. See how I'm starting to move around. All off of this G major arpeggio. That's a really cool lick. I like doing things like that a lot too, where I'll take an arpeggio, and then what I'll do is I'll descend the scale, whatever scale, G major we're in now, and I went over a couple positions, but I'll play it with a hammer in a triplet pull-off. Hammer, pull, hammer, note, hammer, pull. So it's a triplet, 1, 2, 3, and then just go down the scale with that technique. That's a really cool thing to do. You can do it with any scale. And then when you build up the speed, I'll do it slow one more time. Playing a triplet off each last successive note. Here's the number. That's the scale fragment we're using, that number 2 G major scale. So when you add that in with the arpeggio, kind of a cool thing to do. You can do that with anything. I do that all the time. For instance, I don't know, G major is the same as A Dorian. Let's say you're playing over a minor groove or whatever. So and you want to do that A Dorian, just end it on A. And you got A Dorian, right? So if I'm up here in A, and let's say I'm playing that A minor 7th arpeggio that we've gone over. Now I want to connect that. How am I going to get down to do that nice cool lick we just did? Well, remember what I said before? I'll use one string, and I'll just go right down the scale on that one string. And in this case, we'll use the A Dorian scale, which is the same as G major equals A Dorian. Right? So minor 7 arpeggio into those hammer pull triplets, then down the scale, and you get this. Kind of cool, right? Now, I'm here. Or here, right? What can I do when I'm here? I'm on my root note, I'm on my A. Why don't I blast that minor 9 arpeggio? Right? So it'll sound like this. Connected to minor pentatonic and blues. It's endless what you can do. But that's because I'm viewing these as one big scale, one big shape, one big arpeggio, and just seamlessly connecting. And I use this one string at a time to connect lots. I could do it on the B string. I like doing it with trills. Right? So that's an easy way to start getting around the neck, but commingle in those arpeggios because they're outlining the shape of the chord. That's hitting all those important tones, those root, thirds, fifths, flat thirds of minor, flat sevens, minor 7, or dominant 7 if you're in major key. So that's a real easy way to start getting around on the fretboard using these arpeggios, modes, scales, licks, and kind of commingling them all in together. So just remember the arpeggio you're playing. If you're playing a minor 7 arpeggio, it's going to sound great over a minor 7th chord, sound good over a minor chord. I even use it over a minor 9. The major arpeggios, because it's a root 3rd, 5th, the major triad is going to sound good over, you know, any major type chord. I like the major 7 arpeggios over major 7th chords. But you want to try to get them moving over each chord. For instance, on the Jam Tracks audio CD that comes along with this DVD, there is a progression that goes D major 7, B minor 7, E minor 7, A7, this kind of rhythm. So try blasting a different arpeggio over each chord. So over the D major 7, why don't you play a D major 7 arpeggio? Right then it changes. B minor. So why don't I play a B minor 7 arpeggio? Then it changes to E minor 7th. I'll play an E minor 7th arpeggio. And then the last chord is A7. I'll play an A7th arpeggio. It's going to take a while to see all those and connect them with D major because we're in the key of D major. Right? So you can start trying to blast an arpeggio over each chord. Another thing I do with the arpeggios is I'll use a string not just to ascend into another mode or another scale. Or like for instance, let's say I'm going to play this A minor 7 arpeggio. Now when I get down here, I have choices. I can go into this 9 and then go into the minor pentatonic. Or when I get here, I can go up. That's kind of a cool run. I went minor 7, then I went to my root, then I played this little Aeolian mode, or A natural minor scale, ended on the high A. So here's that lick again. Do it slow. Minor 7th arpeggio, connected to the scale, and ended the high octave. I'm going to seamlessly go all the way through this whole part of the fretboard. Nice, huh? And then maybe descend it down. So you see how I'm connecting all these arpeggios in. So arpeggios generally sound best when over the corresponding chord, but you can use them in other ways, and we'll get into some advanced ways of using these arpeggios. But for now, put on those jam tracks and see if you can play a different arpeggio over each chord in a string. Okay? But first, obviously, get real fluid at the movement. And remember when you're playing the arpeggio, don't make it sound like this. One note at a time. You know, and go slow. You really want it to sound like you're playing the notes one at a time. I like that first finger slide. And we'll see you in the next module.